Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. This is Metatron speaking. We're going to talk about what's going to be happening in the month of May 2024. However, have you been noticing something strange about the energies, I don't know, the last 2 weeks in April? We're going to talk about that too, because what's going on currently is actually going to end up bleeding into the month of May. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what to expect in the second half of May. So this started off with me talking to Metatron, thinking Metatron was going to give me this energy update or energy forecast of what to expect. Instead, I look over and I see a dragon. And at first, I think that this is a white dragon. But then he moves, and as he moves, I see that he flashes like a light green color. And then I realize I have seen this dragon very recently. I hadn't talked to it, but I'd seen it very recently. So this is an air dragon, which means it's got like these whiskers that are like these Chinese style dragon whiskers. They're kind of long and wavy. They have a very like lean, long body. And I had seen him before, so I had recently gone to the gym, and something for all of you to be aware of. So the state that my mind has to access, or the frequency my mind has to access in order to channel or have like access clairvoyant visions, it's all the same frequency that's higher up than what we reside at here on Earth. Um, you can kind of like accidentally tune into that frequency through exercising. So let me explain. So if you do a very rhythmic exercise for a long period of time, it's neither overly relaxing nor overly strenuous, something kind of really moderate in between. You can access this same space. So I was at the gym, I was on a treadmill, and about 30 minutes into it, when you hit that spot where you're, you it's strenuous enough that like you're hot, you're sweating, and you have to focus on your breath, but you're not like hyperventilating either. So when you're in that in-between spot and you've been hanging out there for at least 30 minutes, you can access this same frequency, which is kind of what accidentally happened to me. I was at the gym, I'm focused on doing the treadmill, and about 30 minutes into it, I see a dragon appear in front of me. And this is a green dragon, and again, it's that air dragon style with the Chinese whiskers and the long skinny body. He has his body positioned in a spiral. He's like hovering in front of me. His body's in a spiral. And the weird thing is, he's one of his hands is holding this orb. He's in a spiral, and his body was kind of like turning in that spiral, but his face was somehow still kind of just watching me, which is kind of crazy. So I noticed him, and I was like, I thought it was strange because if I'm gonna like randomly tune into a guide, it's typically an archangel. It's Metatron, it's Michael, it's somebody I talk to regularly. This is a brand new dragon, so I was like, a dragon's with me at the gym. All right then. Um, so let's see. So this is the same dragon that appeared to me when I was asking to access information about the month of May. And he was so much prettier the second time that I saw him, because of the way his color could kind of flash in between that white and the green. And I was told that my clairvoyance is improving because actually this is like a quality or a trait of like many, many, many dragons. But that in the past, if my, there's different levels to clairvoyance, right? There's a spectrum of clairvoyance. So the better it gets, the more detail I'm able to tune into. And so I'm trying to, because I'm told he's a crystalline dragon. And so I'm like, ooh, I wonder what kind of crystalline dragon he is. Because most of the crystalline dragons have, well, not most of them, they all have certain qualities about them and certain tasks that they do because of those qualities. And so I'm trying to figure out what he is, and I'm drawn to the fact that he's holding this orb. It's like a clear crystal orb, but it was like glowing this white light. And I realized that crystal orbs, this is what people use to scry with. So I don't scry, but scrying is the act of like looking into a crystal ball, and I'm not entirely sure how they do it, but looking into a crystal ball as a tool to assist people with seeing into the future. So when I figure out that that's what he's holding, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're like a timeline dragon. And I said it, and I didn't even know what I was saying, but I knew it was right. He maintains the timelines on Earth. Because remember, um, t- the the idea of time is only real or experienced during incarnation. And so there's probably different dragons that are assisting with timelines for every planet. So he is one of the ones that works on Earth. It occurs to me that he shifts colors because he is shifting through different versions of himself. So this is when they're giving me, when this is claircognizance, this is them giving me a download of information. That's not something that somebody can just all of a sudden come to that realization. So he's shifting colors because he's shifting through different timelines of himself. It seems unpredictable and more like a radio, trying to switch in between two radio stations. This is what is happening on Earth right now. So let's talk about that. The timeline that Earth is currently on wants to consolidate with these other parallel timelines, but it cannot completely do it. We are in some kind of limbo energetically, not completely able to finish out the cycles of the past and not able to move forward until we do. So let me talk about how you might be experiencing this, and then I'll talk to you more about it. So you might be tapping into older or like less wise versions of yourself. By older, I mean like earlier on in your life, not the new you, the old you. So you might be tapping into versions of yourself that are less awake, and you might be doing this periodically. So this might be happening like at certain points during your day and not at other points. So this might look like you slipping into unconscious habits that you either previously mastered or you previously got more control over, and now you're kind of slipping back into an old pattern all of a sudden. So this might look like, and think about this. So this is like over like the last 2 weeks approximately. In the last 2 weeks, did you kind of start modifying your diet a little bit? Did you start eating things that you have maybe stopped eating? Um, did you change the way that you've been spending your free time? Do you normally do this thing and then now you started kind of leaning into something else? This could be showing up in many different ways as different versions of you are attempting to consolidate unsuccessfully. So I got all this information and then I was like, I need to know this dragon's name. And so I asked him, what shall I call you? And I hear this tone and this sound that I'm familiar with. He says, and he says it slowly and deep in a deep voice. He says, "Ah, Sim UN." But and he doesn't say it like that. "Ah, Sim UN." He said it slowly, and I can't even mimic the way he did it because it was like, "Ah, Sim you." But even now I can't mimic it because it's very like harmonic. It's very musical the way it comes out. Um, the way he said it to me, his name is part of the original light language. So this is the original light language. This is a universal light language. So this is the light language of the dragons, which was adopted by the Andromedans, who were the first galaxy here. And then later, the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, everyone else learned this language. So this is the universal language that's used to communicate across any galaxy. I had heard this language before. I knew that it was the original language. I didn't realize that it went so far back that it went to the dragons. I didn't realize it was their language. So when I found that out, I like wanted to cry because that felt really important to me. This is a language that I am given through working with our Patreon group. So Susan and I, my business partner, we have a group, a community in Patreon of Lightworkers who we are all working together to develop our magic and to work on Earth's crystalline grid to help the Earth heal and ascend. And so part of that work includes me being given light language that we speak as part of rituals in order to do certain things for the Earth. And so we're working with dragons and we're working with light language. So if that is something you are interested in, the link to the Patreon group will be in the description under the video. So I ask Asim I say, can you tell me more about what is happening like right now and what's been happening for the last couple weeks? So this is what he says, there is damage to the current timeline. There are parallel timelines that are ready to consolidate onto our timeline, but they cannot until the damage is fixed. The timeline was damaged from an attack by a dark galactic group. It can be fixed, but from your perspective, our perspective, it takes time. May 12th, the timelines will consolidate and there will be a shift forward to make up for the interruptions happening now. Between now and May 12th, the matrix itself, this is what he says, the matrix itself may seem glitchy. That seems like a weird thing to say, but that is what he said. He said you may have unexplained electronic issues. You may have strange dreams. You may have memories that don't feel like yours. You may have old physical pains re-emerging. Your energy level may fluctuate dramatically within a single day. Or you may feel nauseous, dizzy, or have headaches that are out of character for you. Do not be alarmed. We make you aware of these events to help you understand your experiences. Never is there cause for alarm. What may seem shocking for some of you is perhaps mundane for a dragon like me. And he smiles after he says that, and it's like more of an energetic smile than a physical smile. But he's good-natured. He's a good soul. I mean, I haven't met a bad dragon yet. This one's great. And then he takes his preferred position again. So he goes back into that spiral position, kind of like hovering in the air in front of me with one hand on his orb. And so I'm like looking at his orb and I say, do you really use that thing? And he says, indeed. And I asked him, I said, will you show me? And as soon as I said that, I was like, I know whatever he shows me is not going to be fun. I probably shouldn't have said that, to be honest. He ends up showing me a past life of mine, which is not related to the May energy update. So I'm not going to share it in this video. I will share it as a separate video very soon. So when I asked him to show me the past lifetime, he like comes up and I look in the orb, and I'll just skip ahead. Let me see what happens afterwards. Okay. So after all that happens, so he starts talking again and he says May 29th. So this is another specific date. May 29th is an important date in the month. It would be best to be gentle with yourself on this day, as you may experience undesirable physical symptoms, including illness. So there's something going on energetically that's probably going to be irritating for the physical body. And so that is on May 29th. So just be aware of this. He continues, he says, overall energy for the second half of the month is abundant. It is a good time to make progress towards goals and projects. And then he starts giving some kind of like warnings. So solar plexus issues. So like emotional issues with your solar plexus may arise, such as self-doubt, fears of rejection, and hesitation to put down strong boundaries. So this is something that is likely to rise up for people during the month of May. He says, disregard this pull to react from a place of fear, doubt, or worry. Choose to move forward regardless of the fear or hesitation that you feel. Then he gives us another kind of warning. He says, emotional pains may surface during this month from both past and present lifetimes. This is an ideal time to allow yourself to feel the suffering, as it is likely to be efficiently processed as long as you don't resist the process. So he's saying, if you have old wounds that need healing, now's a good time to let yourself feel your hurt, because you'll probably only have to feel it a short period of time because of the way time is working out or because of the energetics of the month. He says, be open to the twists and turns on your journey. Do not be discouraged by unexpected developments. As you embrace, sorry, I have a typo there. As you embrace what arises within you and around you, each day you can move more quickly through the challenging times. Do not seek to control your life. Seek a direction and move towards it, but be prepared for an adventure. Okay, so that's the last of his message. So he's saying, embrace how you feel, embrace your circumstances, don't resist how you feel, and don't resist your circumstances, because that's going to prevent you from flowing along this pathway and moving into better things. That's why he's saying, do not seek to control your life. He's saying, be much more open-minded as you navigate your life. So pick a direction you want to go into. Start moving in that direction. But if some unexpected things pop up instead, go with it. This is part of your experience that needs to happen. If you resist it, you're just going to stay in that state longer unnecessarily. When you embrace things, you can learn from them, you can experience them, and then you can move on from it. So make sure that you're approaching your life in the next month, especially in a very open-minded manner. Something unexpected pops up, no big deal. Expect the unexpected. Okay. Just tuning in to see what else, if anything, they want me to do. Okay. Okay. I was going to see if they wanted me to pull cards, but they're actually saying we're going to do it short and sweet for this month. So that's the message for all of you. If any of you are really drawn to dragon energy, at our business website, orangelighthenergy.com, we have a dragon activation. So if you are interested in having your energy aligned with that of the Dragon Collective and your personal dragon guides, we can help do that for you so that it's easier for you to communicate with your dragons. Whether you use um, knowing, whether you channel, whether you can feel energy, whatever it is, it's going to help you line up to their energy so that you can interact with them better. So that's an available option. If you are struggling in the month of May with emotional pains or the solar plexus issues he's talking about, so if you keep coming up against issues of uh, fearing that you're going to be rejected, or fearing that what you're doing is not good enough, or really overwhelming self doubt to the point where you're not moving forward. If you're feeling really stuck with solar plexus issues or heart chakra issues, there are two different options that are probably a really good fit for you. One of them might be the Healing with Metatron session, which is a session with my business partner, Susan, that it's an energy healing session. It's done remotely. You relax and lay down. She goes through your energy and removes blocks, and anything else that Metatron wants her to do. It's a very custom session. It's a session that can really be a huge turning point for someone. Because if you've had these blocks in place this whole lifetime and someone goes in and finally pulls them away from you, that can be the catalyst to your life going in a completely different direction. So that's one option for you. Another option that is oftentimes very transformational for people is getting an Akashic Records reading. So we also offer that. That's a session that I do. I pull up 4 past lifetimes for each person, and these past lifetimes are going to identify specific emotional blocks that you are carrying right now and that are holding you back right now from stepping forward onto the next part of your journey. So, if you're struggling with anything energetically or emotionally, we probably have a service that's right for you. Ooh, that reminds me. Two things I have to tell you. These are updates on sessions of ours that I've had. So, one of the sessions that I had that I really wanted to give you an update on a long time ago, and I just kept forgetting. I did the personalized music for healing support. So a this is a third individual. It's technically my husband. He's going under the name Annex Arcana, which is his professional name. He's a channeler. He specifically channels music. So he works with Ra, he works with Metatron, he works with different Egyptian gods and archangels to channel music. That music, because he is a master healer, that music is designed to potentially give you very miraculous healing on an emotional level. Emotional level. So I had him compose music for me, and I listened to it over the 7 weeks. And I talked to you guys about it before. I talked to you about how I was like crying when I was listening to it for a long time. Um, and then it started doing different things. The more I listened to it, I could identify that it was doing different things for me. The update that I wanted to give all of you, because this is nuts. So after I was done with the 7 weeks of doing the music, it was working mostly on my heart chakra, and I am well aware of that because that's one of my areas where I have lots of problems, and I always have for this lifetime. So they're working on my heart chakra. After I finished listening to the music, for weeks after that, I could feel myself responding differently to situations where I would always respond with kind of a closed heart. All of a sudden, I wasn't responding in that way, and it was blowing my mind. There was work being done even after I stopped listening to the music, which I know it shouldn't be hard to understand, but it surprised me. So I wanted to put all of that out there for all of you. So if you are struggling with something emotional, that kind of session, listening to that music is especially helpful for current lifetime emotional difficulties. Current lifetime, and a lot of times these current lifetime struggles are tied into past life ones. And so, of course, it'll address the current life one and it'll go back in time and it'll dig back into the past lives. So, if anyone is interested in having a intensive long-term healing done, this would be targeted to really deep wounds. This is not going to get rid of like the light stuff. This is going to get the stuff that you've been resistant to healing, resistant to changing for many lifetimes. So that's available. The other update I wanted to give you is for the autism support session. So I have 2 daughters who they're both on the autism spectrum in very different places. And I had told you when I talked about the service, I had told you that I had seen different results from both children and that it had taken I forget, it was probably like 2 weeks for one of them and it was maybe like 3 or 4 weeks on the other one. So what I wanted to tell you is that at this point, it's been 7 weeks since they had their sessions. Yesterday, I noticed very distinct improvements from both of them. Again, a different improvement, but in the same area as the last improvement. So for my one daughter, she had all of a sudden a certain thing that she was very rigid about. It always has to be this certain way. All of a sudden, she just let it go. That thing did not always have to be the same all of a sudden. All of a sudden, she's like, no, we can do something different with this. It blew my mind. So that was her improvement. And then my other daughter, her improvement was with her language. I had asked her a question about something and she answered me. And I was just like, that doesn't ever happen. So they continue to improve. They had the session 7 weeks ago. I talked to Metatron about it. He was saying that I will see improvements with them over a 40-week period. So if he's saying that for my kids, that will be the same for anyone else's children or anyone else who chooses to get the session, that this is incremental improvements done over a long period of time. It's extremely exciting to watch. So I just wanted to update all of you on that as well. Okay, I think I'm done talking now. I will post a video after this one probably about the past lifetime that I saw with this dragon when I looked into his orb. If you have any questions, if there's something that you've been like experiencing for the past couple weeks and you're like, huh, I wonder if that's been tied into this timeline issue where the timelines are not able to consolidate, you feel free to post the question. I'll check in and see if it's related. No problem. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.